Welcome to our second episode of Food. And that I am I'm Jonathan Carlisle from The Movie Made Me Chew It.
I am David Johnson from Movies I Masticate To. Welcome.
And what are we talking about today, David?
We're talking about burgers. We're talking about hamburgers.
Is there a reason for that?
Yes. We have just watched a short clip from the 1989 Weird Al Yankovic vehicle UHF.
This is your UHF 60-second special report. Today's story takes us across town to honor a local hero, Miss Edna Roop. While many know Miss Roop as the owner of Big Edna's Burger World, few are aware of the grand scope of her amazing story.
Hardee's.
Then you kind of have like your sit down. Sorry, what was the one you said?
Hardee's.
I still didn't hear what you said.
Hardee's.
I see.
Hardee's.
As a young girl, Edna was a diligent student and hard worker, putting in long hours helping on her family's beef farm. In high school, she joined the track and field team where she discovered her true passion, the throws pentathlon. Bolstered by the physical demands of her life growing up on the family farm and the strenuous training for school-sponsored events, Big Edna, as she was affectionately known, became an accomplished student athlete, leading her team to win several state competitions.
And ate at Tweedy's Burgers, which is where that diner had been used in the TV show Twin Peaks. It was called the Double R Diner. And I had a peanut butter and jelly burger. It was a hamburger that had peanut butter and jelly on it, and it was pretty good.
Huh. So with ground beef.
Yes. I have very much enjoyed it, and I've never had one since.
Interesting.
How about you? What would you say is your most out there burger that you've consumed?
There was one time I was looking through the burger menu at a restaurant, a small restaurant, and they had an olive burger. It was a big burger. It might have had blue cheese in it or something. And I will say, even though it wasn't not my favorite burger, but it really started this whole thing where I was just like, well, I'm just going to try different stuff. In my mind, the olive burger was actually really good, even though I know that I didn't really like it that much.
Would you say that the olive burger was your gateway burger?
Despite the long hours of training and competing, Big Edna continued her excellent educational record and consistently achieved high honors. She was a popular student and used her social standing to inspire her classmates to never accept less than their best effort.
And I kept belching, and my business partner was protesting because apparently my belches smelled really terrible. And so eventually it got to the point where when I would belch, I would kind of like try and swallow it back in or like stifle it with my mouth closed. And I would slightly,
the slow release,
exhale through my nostrils only, and then there would be a beat where I thought I had gotten away with it, and my business partner would just, oh my gosh, that's so terrible. And so I ended up having to, every time I needed to belch, put the window down and hang my head out the window and belch.
That's pretty bad when your belches are basically a fart story.
However, everything changed the night of her senior prom, when Big Edna and her date, then captain of the football team and transfer student Cliff Montana, were involved in a violent car crash after Cliff swerved to avoid running over a lost puppy in the road and crashed into a tree. Luckily, Edna was there to pull Cliff from the burning vehicle, tend to his injuries, and retrieve the lost puppy from the road.
Yeah. February 26, 1906, The Jungle is published, and it makes people really nervous and concerned about meat handling. But we still move forward from there.
Sure.
1921, Wichita, Kansas, White Castle. 1931, this is not a restaurant, but J. Wellington Wimpy from Popeye. You know, good cartoon character, all about burgers. 1937, Glendale, California, as Big Boy. There we go. 1948, San Bernardino, California, McDonald's. 1954, Miami, Florida.
I got to pause.
What?
I'm sorry. So you're telling me that White Castle is a full 20 years older than McDonald's?
Edna went on to attend the State University where she continued throwing, eventually becoming an internationally ranked throwing competitor. She was offered a spot on the U.S. Olympic team, but turned it down so she could move back home and take care of her ailing parents.
So that's why White Castle is so white.
Interesting. I like it. Makes sense.
So yes, 1954, Miami, Florida, which for some reason I never think about Burger King being from Miami, Florida, but that's Burger King. Over in London, 1954, also same year, Wimpy's, like the actual restaurant, not the character. In 1969, Columbus, Ohio, Wendy's. And that's where I stopped.
After returning home, Edna became her parents' primary caretaker while also starting a track and field program for underprivileged youth and frequently volunteering at homeless shelters and food kitchens. This amazing philanthropy led to Big Edna discovering her second great love, fine American dining.
Big Lebowski famously references In-N-Out Burger and has a scene where they're eating In-N-Out Burger. And then, of course, there's the beginning of Pulp Fiction with the El Royale with cheese. And then I kind of got too hungry and had to go eat a burger. And so I never completed that list.
Oh, so you kind of did like the movie made me chew it thing.
Thinking about those movies, they did make me masticate.
Following the peaceful passing of both her parents, Edna turned her grief into action. She sold the family farm and opened Big Edna's Burger World, a local favorite with a spotless health and safety rating, as well as a sterling reputation for donating to local causes.
Because the square burgers freaked her out.
Somebody was just saying, I guess freaking out more or less about the square burgers at Wendy's just a day or two ago, and I cannot remember who it was.
She's since turned a corner.
Surely Big Edna Roop is a national treasure, and this reporter is proud to live in the same community as this wonderful woman. From the UHF 60-second news desk, I'm Sean Sullivan.
Well, I guess that's all we've got for burgers. I'm sure we will be eating more than what we're talking about them. But so long, I'm Jonathan Carlisle for The Movie Made Me To It.
And I've been David Johnson for Movies I Masticate To. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.